before the superficial distractions of the modern world and the exhausting matrix of hollow connections drag you into another day of pretending. Deliberately stop. Right here, in this fiercely protected and sacred space, draw a deep, anchoring breath directly into the center of your physical being. Inhale slowly, pulling heavy, restorative air deep into the quietest, most hidden chambers of your heart. Hold it for a singular, echoing heartbeat, allowing pure oxygen to locate the stagnant, fearful energy you have been unknowingly carrying in your chest. Exhale, permanently dropping a massive, heavy cloak of unspoken anxieties and superficial expectations from your exhausted shoulders. Completely unclench your jaw, releasing the visceral memory of words left unsaid and truths you swallowed to keep the peace. Soften your eyes, drop your shoulders, and let the ground entirely support your weight. You are fundamentally safe in this space. You are fiercely recognized for your radiant, raw, and terrifyingly deep essence, not your ability to be convenient. We are currently standing at a staggering, intensely complex, and deeply revealing energetic intersection. The date is May 1. This is absolutely not a day for casual observation, and it is certainly not a day for playing small, hiding your emotional intensity, or retreating into the familiar, suffocating shadows of your old, superficial coping mechanisms. This is a day of absolute, breathtaking, and terrifyingly beautiful emotional purging. On this highly specific, mathematically precise point in the cosmos, we are being ignited by a profoundly powerful, visceral, astrological alignment. Today, the moon, the ancient, mystical keeper of our deepest subconscious, our primal intuition, and our most vulnerable emotional waters, reaches its absolute peak of illumination in the intense, transformative, and unapologetic sign of Scorpio. This is not a gentle, romantic, lunar phase. This is a literal energetic code, a massive, penetrating software update for your human experience, being downloaded directly into your nervous system, your heart space, and your root chakra. The full moon in Scorpio is a celestial searchlight, cutting straight through the dark, murky waters of your subconscious. It is completely, irrevocably rewriting your internal blueprint for love, true intimacy, boundaries, and emotional transparency. Let us deeply, courageously examine what is actually happening within your spirit as the delicate, sensitive moon fully immerses itself in the intense, fiercely protective, and deeply psychic territory of Scorpio. Scorpio is the energy of death and rebirth. It is the spiritual alchemist. It is the pure, unfiltered, primal energy of absolute truth and soul-merging intimacy. For a very, very long time, you have been acting as a spiritual silencer for your own relational reality. Because of your deep, beautifully complex soul, your profound capacity for loyalty, and your intense fear of betrayal, you have lived in a chronic, agonizing state of emotional self-censorship. You have taken your deep, beautiful, completely valid desires, especially your craving for radical honesty, your need for soul-deep merging, and your passionate intensity, and you have relentlessly watered them down, turning your vast ocean into a shallow puddle, so it would be digestible for people who entirely lack the capacity to swim in your depths. You have desperately, constantly policed your own relational expectations. You have felt a deep, instinctive flare of intuition telling you a connection was superficial or dishonest, only to immediately gaslight yourself, convincing your mind that you were just asking for too much or being too paranoid. You have gone to absolute war against your own psychic, knowing to defend the comfort of a romantic partner, swallowing your own profound discomfort, your own entirely justified suspicion, just to protect the fragile, toxic ecosystem of a connection that was secretly starving you to death. You took your primal, vital, emotional life force, your beautiful capacity for raw, psychological intimacy, and you locked it in a heavy, dark, underground vault because someone in your past convinced you that your depth was toxic, that your need for reassurance was too clingy, or that your emotional intensity was simply too demanding. You fell deeply, tragically, into the devastating habit of performing the easygoing partner. You became fiercely addicted to the noble, exhausting, completely self-destructive crusade of pretending you didn't need absolute, unwavering devotion. You convinced yourself that if you just accepted the breadcrumbs, if you never demanded full transparency, if you were just infinitely accommodating and endlessly forgiving of their emotional unavailability, you could finally secure the unconditional love you so desperately craved. You confused the absolute exhaustion of this endless, unwinnable relational suppression with the feeling of profound patience. You thought that because you were not asking the hard questions, because you were not demanding to see their shadows, it must mean the connection was deeply secure. You mistook the suffocating frozen silence of your own unfulfilled desires for a peaceful relationship. You have been operating in a thick, heavy fog of self-betrayal, walking carefully on a floor of superficial pleasantries that did not even belong to you, entirely convinced that your ultimate emotional compliance would eventually be rewarded with deep intimacy. You waited for the grand, cinematic love story where they would finally, magically strip away their armor, recognize your silent loyalty, and give you the absolute, naked vulnerability you never dared to demand. But as the profound, transformative energy of this May 1 transit peaks, as the deeply feeling moon shines its blinding, uncompromising light into the kingdom of Scorpio, the stagnant fog of your relational suppression is suddenly, violently, and beautifully burning away. This alignment is sparking a massive, irreversible spiritual awakening directly within your romantic core. It is the sudden, striking, physical realization of the spiritual alchemist who finally stops apologizing for wanting everything. You are experiencing a literal, physical shockwave of relational clarity. The heavy, intoxicating, deeply addictive illusion of the low-maintenance partner who never requires deep, probing intimacy is shattering into a million unrecoverable pieces. You are suddenly seeing the past, the toxic dynamics, the endless swallowing of your intuition, and the agonizing lack of true psychological safety with a stark, almost blinding realism. You are looking at the people you tried to appease by shrinking your emotional depth, and for the first time, you do not feel the desperate urge to manage their discomfort with your intensity. You do not feel the heavy, clawing responsibility to be their safe harbor while they continuously refuse to anchor into yours. You are finally deeply understanding that your vital, brilliant, psychic intuition, yes, even your absolute refusal to accept half-truths, was never meant to be silenced just to keep someone else comfortable while they continuously chose to hide in the shallows. This is the absolute, permanent death of the superficial lover within your romantic blueprint. You are finally dropping the heavy, rusted mask of pretending you don't care deeply. You are taking your immense, beautiful, terrifying emotional power back from the realm of the unsaid. You are finally realizing that true, sovereign love requires the absolute, terrifying courage to stand completely naked, emotionally and spiritually before another human being. It requires the bravery to let your intuition speak when your trust is compromised, even if your voice shakes, even if it disrupts their false narrative, even if it means watching the entirely wrong connection burn to the ground in the heat of your newly awakened demand for truth. And the universe is not just breaking your emotional dam, it is immediately, beautifully rushing in to fortify your spirit with a tidal wave of unimaginable, fiercely protective, psychological empowerment. Because exactly as you drop the mask of relational compliance, the skies open up and deliver the pure, undeniable, piercing light of Scorpio, fused with the intuitive wisdom of the moon. Listen to the sound of my voice, and let these words sink into the deepest, most permanent layers of your subconscious mind. The full moon is doing the profound work of pulling your hidden relational trauma out of the shadows, while the scorpionic energy is handing you the magnificent obsidian sword of undeniable courage to sever any tie that lacks absolute integrity. For so long, you have operated in a state of emotional dilution. You genuinely believed that love meant hiding your shadows so someone else wouldn't feel overwhelmed. This Scorpio full moon frequency is stepping powerfully into your energetic field, placing its warm, heavy, incredibly steady hands firmly on your shoulders, looking you dead in the eye and whispering a profound, ultimate truth into your soul. Your intensity is not a weapon of destruction. It is a profound compass of authentic connection. Your demand for honesty is not an inconvenience. It is your absolute divine right. True, authentic, profoundly aligned love is not supposed to require the assassination of your deepest emotional needs. You are currently undergoing a radical, highly accelerated nervous system upgrade. You are being recalibrated to handle the intense, beautiful frequency of true, unfiltered psychological intimacy. You find yourself suddenly, inexplicably repulsed by the shallow, evasive, deeply uncommitted dynamics that you used to tolerate. The idea of suppressing a very real, intuitive knowing just to keep things light suddenly feels profoundly insulting to your spirit. You are looking at the confusing, emotionally unavailable partners you used to accept, and you are feeling an unshakable, elevated intolerance for anything less than absolute, burning devotion and naked truth. This is not you becoming paranoid. This is you becoming pure. This is you stepping into the absolute, sovereign luxury of your own unapologetic emotional reality. You are realizing that you do not want a partner who requires you to shrink your depth or hide your shadows. You want a partner who is thrilled by the vastness of your soul. You want a connection that feels like diving into a deep, warm, life-giving ocean after a lifetime trapped in a dry, barren, emotionally starved desert. You are demanding, with the quiet, terrifying confidence of a fully awakened soul, a love that is transformative, courageous, fiercely loyal, intensely passionate, and entirely free of hidden agendas. And because you are finally demanding it, because you are no longer accepting the superficial crumbs, the universe is expanding your magnetism to an entirely unprecedented level. You are quite literally becoming a walking, breathing, undeniable magnet for high-vibrational, fully realized, securely attached, deeply transformative love. You are calling in a partner who does not flinch when you show them the darkest corners of your mind. You are calling in an equal, an alchemist for your alchemist, a sovereign healer for a sovereign healer. You are calling in someone who has fought their own internal demons, explored their own shadows, and is now standing completely whole, capable of witnessing your fiercest intensity without taking it as a threat. Someone who looks at your emotional depths and does not try to swim away, but instead takes a deep breath and asks how far down we can go together. This energy is not just about romance, it is about the absolute convergence of all forms of your personal power. As you clear the dense, heavy suppression of secrets from your heart, you are simultaneously unblocking massive rivers of psychic prosperity, unbreakable confidence, and personal sovereignty that were waiting for you to simply. You will notice over the next few days that opportunities, people, and serendipitous moments of sheer, profound alignment will start arriving at your doorstep with shocking speed. A sudden urge to end a lukewarm connection, an unexpected breakthrough in how you read people's energy, a brilliant wave of raw intuition that demands to be trusted. You will feel a radiant, piercing clarity expanding in your chest, a deep, cellular knowing that the universe is no longer teaching you through betrayal and hidden motives. It is now teaching you through radical honesty and empowerment. You ask yourself, why did I ever accept the shallow end when I was born, with the capacity for such profound, world-altering depth? Why did I let the fear of abandonment convince me to hold on to people who made me feel like my intuition was a burden? Do not dare to judge the past versions of yourself for the emotional settling they endured. They did the absolute best they could with the unhealed wounds of betrayal they carried. They were desperately trying to find safety in a world that had incorrectly taught them that showing their true, intense self resulted in rejection. I want you to deeply, profoundly, and entirely forgive yourself right now. I want you to let the sound of my voice be the final, absolute permission. You need to completely release the heavy burden of your suppressed relational history. Let your physical voice vibrate in the actual air around you. Do not just think this, actually speak it out loud, or scream it silently into the center of your mind with the force of a tidal wave. I completely and unconditionally forgive myself for diluting my depth. I forgive myself for fighting silent, internal wars against my own intuition just to maintain false peace. I forgive myself for pouring my sacred, intense energy into people who refuse to meet me in the deep end. I forgive myself for believing I had to be shallow and uncomplicated to be worthy of connection. I completely release the heavy chains of my past compliance. I completely sever all karmic cords to the people who needed me to stay blind so they could feel comfortable. I call all of my vital, brilliant, intuitive, fiercely loyal energy back to my own heart and root chakra. I am finally, deeply, and irrevocably open to the absolute abundance of safe, expansive, intensely intimate, and unconditionally honest love. Breathe that massive, world-altering declaration deeply into your cells. Feel the actual physical shift in the room. Feel the air become highly charged. Feel the chronic emotional density permanently leaving your chest. You have absolutely not lost a single ounce of your potential by letting go of the superficial past. By walking away from the false safety of your emotional dilution. By stepping directly into the transformative light of the Scorpio full moon, you have just freed up a massive, staggering amount of energy that is now rushing entirely into the manifestation of your absolute highest romantic timeline. You are no longer being difficult when you demand total honesty. You are being highly sovereign. You are not being too intense when you seek soul-merging intimacy. You are simply aligning your relational standards with the undeniable reality of your immense inherent value. What you are experiencing as this transit peaks is a profound, incredibly necessary, and wildly explosive relational liberation. You are crossing the burning bridge from the timeline of the superficial settler directly into the timeline of the deep, sovereign alchemist. You will be tested in the coming weeks. The ghosts of your old, passive habits will likely try to drift back in. An ex, or a toxic dynamic, might reach out with a confusing, half-hearted breadcrumb, expecting the old you to just smile and accommodate their lack of effort. Someone might present you with a situation where the easiest, most familiar path is to simply ignore your gut feeling and go along with the illusion, hoping you will pick up the old mask of compliance one last time. They will want to see if the emotionally blind version of you is still available. They will want to see if they can still keep you in the dark without facing your piercing light. When they do this, you are going to experience the ultimate, exhilarating victory of your brand new frequency. You will look at the manipulation, the emotional evasion, the expectation for you to shrink your awareness, and you will feel absolutely nothing but a calm, elevated, completely untouchable, deeply grounded knowing. You will see the lack of depth for exactly what it is. And for the first time, you will not doubt your intuition. You will look at them, and you will simply, elegantly, and fiercely hold your ground. Because in the kingdom of Scorpio, your intuition is an absolute fortress. You will quietly, beautifully, and decisively close the door, both in the physical world and in the vast quantum field of your own heart. By refusing to step backward into the shallows, by absolutely refusing to re-enter the suffocating illusion you just broke out of, you are sending a massive, undeniable shockwave directly to the universe. You are declaring with unshakable, terrifying finality that your relational reality is entirely non-negotiable. And the universe, powered by the incredible, transformative vitality of Scorpio and the deep, intuitive knowing of the full moon, will respond by handing you the keys to the kingdom. It will bring you the love that does not require you to ignore your gut. It will bring you the profound, beautiful peace of a life where your internal psychological reality perfectly matches your external connections, where your trust is a fortress of self-respect and your intensity is a wand of magnificent manifestation. You are completely ready. You have spent lifetimes in emotional starvation and in superficial suffering, preparing for this exact shift in consciousness. The brutal, necessary lessons of your past have successfully forged an impenetrable, glowing shield of radical self-respect around your spirit. Take one final, incredibly deep, anchoring breath. Place both of your hands firmly and warmly over your lower abdomen, your sacral center of intimacy. Close your eyes. Feel the steady, ancient, entirely reliable pulse of your own passionate life force beneath your palms. Feel the potential of every deep desire you have ever held back, not as a burden, not as a danger, but as a massive, beautiful reservoir of power. That vibration is your ultimate truth. That physical sensation is your magic. That intuitive knowing is your true, permanent, unshakable weapon of light. Everything you have experienced up until this moment, every tear, every betrayal, every agonizing hour spent analyzing why you couldn't just be satisfied with surface-level love, was merely the turbulent, necessary bridge to get you exactly here, to this very moment, to this very breath, to this profound realization of your staggering, breathtaking power to feel deeply and protect your reality. This beautiful, glowing, untouchable core within you is entirely yours. It is completely impervious to anyone else's shadows, and it is now wide open to broadcast the absolute best, most intensely authentic version of your soul to this universe. If these words have successfully bypassed the heavy guards of your logical mind and spoken directly to the ancient wisdom of your spirit, do not let this wildly powerful energetic window close without firmly claiming it. Like this message, let the physical action of tapping the screen be a deliberate, grounded signature on your new contract with the cosmos. It is you bravely declaring that you are finally ready to step out of the emotional shallows and receive the abundance that comes from absolute psychological truth. Share your journey, your release, and your brilliant realizations in the comments below. Tell the universe exactly what you are no longer available to tolerate. Your specific story might be the exact vibrational key that someone else desperately needs today. Now, take one more intentional breath. Breathe in the crystal clear, utterly brilliant, and fiercely transforming reality of this present moment. Exhale the thin, pathetic, desperately tired echoes of your past superficiality. Blow those heavy, suffocating memories of self-betrayal away permanently. You are profoundly safe to be deep. You are completely, beautifully sovereign. Welcome home, beautiful soul, to the magnificent, undeniable depth of your own unshakable greatness, alive with endless fire, burning far brighter than you have ever imagined is possible.